What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Kyberlord, and I'm back with another Gren Maju video. Now, I know I just brought you one recently, but that was more of like an OTK deck, and this right here is possibly my favorite version of Gren Maju, which is Maju Stun. Now, if you know me, if you've been following me for a while now, you know that this is one of my absolute favorite decks, one of my absolute favorite versions of Gren Maju, and it's definitely my style of play. I'm more into stun decks, into control decks rather than comboing an OTK. This deck is really spicy. It is a 46 card build. You guys know I love my my 40 plus card decks. It is really spicy. I did take it to locals already, and we did have like a locals after the ban list, after Change of Heart came back and all that. So it was a proper competitive locals. I got top 8. I had really good matchups. I lost to a 1-2, but I mean, it was spicy. I did manage to beat Flunder 2-1. I lost 2-1 versus Despia, but honestly, that was my absolute favorite matchup. I did have to think a lot to what to trigger, what to summon and stuff like that. I did make them struggle. I did make them like really think how to play around our floodgates. And I mean, Maju was just OP, beating over everything. I did beat Shaddoll. I believe it was a pure Shaddoll or it was Lightsworn Shaddoll, but I did manage to beat them 2-1, and we unfortunately lost to Virtual World 2-0. It's just a deck I do not like, but I mean, Ben, an excellent player, managed to 2-0 us in that round. But yeah, I mean, it is anti-meta, or as much anti-meta as we can. We do have Dimensional Barrier. It's not in the main deck, and I will explain why. But yeah, it is very spicy, guys, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you like and subscribe, and thank you guys for all the non-stop support. Let's get started with Maju Stun, baby.
Stardust, Black Rose, no hope, life low. Alright, I'm set, I got my deck. I'm about to head to my homie crib next. I got a brand new combo with some chicks. I'm about to burn them for 8,000 quick. Got it on standby so you can't draw. Main face ain't shit, go to your school phase, that mean you lost. That's how it be.
So, as usual, chunky deck, chunky deck. We aren't playing as many traps as before. You guys knew most of my Maju Stun builds were all traps, not this one. But I mean, I'll get to it. We're playing Gren Maju, so Gren Maju, 3 Gren Maju Aisa, however you want to pronounce it. So 3 of the big chunky boy. We're playing 2 baby Maju, which is Eater of Millions. I don't know how I feel about this card, to be fair. I've considered dropping it, but I mean, it's just another monster, which is what I want to see. I will try and think of other monsters I can maybe play in this deck, but I don't know. It is really good in some occasions. It can out certain things when you attack and you banish, but I just don't know how I feel about it, to be fair. But I mean, in the meantime, I am playing it in this build, and I mean, it's good. It's good. It's Eater of Millions. So 2 Eater of Millions. 3 of the Snake Boy, which is 3 Gizmek Orochi. Banish 8, summon him. Boost up our Maju. You already know what it does. Really good card. Time for stuns. 3 Inspector Border, which, I mean, everyone hates Inspector Border. We love Inspector Border. 3 of, no effects. GG. Another funny card, 2 Fossil Dyna. I normally would play this at 3, but I mean, there's a lot of decks that can normal summon that can just be over it. Especially if we're going like second, we'll have to set it and then try and pop every special summoned monster. But if you're going first and you've got like some really good set back row, then you can kind of protect it. But I mean, a lot of normal summon monsters can just be over it and then they can combo off. So 2 is still good. You don't have to play it. I know I've seen a lot of stun decks that don't play it. It's just because I like Fossil Dyna, I am going to play it. But it was really good. I obviously sided this out against Flunder, Flunder, because it's all normal summons, no special summons. But I mean, it still did come. It came in pretty clutch in some matchups. Now, the next 5 cards, I'll show you. I'm main decking 3 Ash Blossom, and then I'm also main decking two DD Crow. Now, I was very skeptical about main decking hand traps in this build, because obviously we just want traps. We want to get into our Maju really quickly. But surprisingly, Ash Blossom and DD Crow came in extremely clutch past locals that I played. I have also been testing this online, not just at locals. And honestly, DD Crow is the hand trap of this format. Ash Blossom has I did cut her off some of my builds last format, but she's definitely coming back. I mean, they were very impactful in some matches that I won. So definitely 2 DD Crow and 3 Ash Blossom. You can even bump up the DD Crow to 3 if you cut the Fossil Dynast and then maybe play another one of, or make a third copy of the 2 ofs we're playing. But yeah, hand traps in Maju Stun, absolute clutch. Time for our draw power. We want a lot of draw power, and I'm going to show off my shiny Pots of Desires that I rarely bummed. But 2 Pots of Desires, I mean, 1 coming back. I mean, just having to, it gave me hope to play Gren Maju again, because we did suffer with just the 1 Desires. 2 Pot of Desires, 3 Pot of Extravagance, and you already know the 3 Pot of Duality. Funny story, I was playing against, I believe it was Fluunder. I dropped Pot of Duality, I revealed Pot of Duality, and 2 Pot of Extravagance. So that was kind of funny. That was the game I lost. But yeah, our pots, 8 pots. This is another weird main deck card, because we are trying to stun our opponent out of special summoning, and all that. But with a lot of fusion monsters in the format, with Despia in the format, this was a definite must main deck. If not, I was going to side deck it. And that is the 3 Super Poly. This card, absolute clutch all weekend. It just wiped so many boards. And with the Despia game 3, we were both almost decking out. It was honestly my favorite matchup, big brain matchup. Shout out to Ashley, who took the dub. But basically, the reason I lost game 3, literally, I think 5 minutes before time ended, I super polyed him, and then I brought out Starving Venom, then I Gizmek Orochi. That was my mistake. I brought back Gizmek Orochi, and then he was able to super poly me, and I basically had nothing left. So he just swung, and I didn't have a follow-up after that. So play it wisely, but it is a very good card, this format. A lot of people were saying it was going to be limited or banned, but it still lives. So we're getting into my favorite type of cards, purple cards. 3 Infinite Impermanence. It is the card to play as well. A lot of decks suffer when you Infinite Impermanence their monster to pop off their combos. So really good card. A 3 of. We have to protect our back row. The 3 Solemn Judgment to stop that Lightning Storm, to stop that back row removal that our opponent's playing. So definitely such a good card to play. Funny story, I didn't use this at all weekend. I didn't have, there was a situation where I needed to trigger Solemn Judgment. I was able to out everything. Surprisingly, people weren't playing as much back row removal as I thought they would. I was also thinking of main decking or side decking Dark Bribe, but I mean, it's got the downfall of giving your opponent that 1 card, so I didn't play it. But honestly, the 3 Solemn Judgment, you could even side deck them. I am definitely going to change this build around a lot. I'm going to add a whole new engine to it. But I mean, Solemn Judgment could even go to the side deck. Because obviously at locals and online, not a lot of people are playing back row removal for some weird reason. Or it might just be the people I came up against. I don't know. Also, I would normally play 3 Solemn Strike to follow up with the Solemn Judgment. But thinking about it and testing Solemn Strike, to me, this format isn't very good. I know Fluunder chain block and everything, and a lot of cards just chain block each other, and then it's all the spells that summon and all that. So I think Solemn Strike was the right choice to cut. There was not an opportunity or a situation, where I've needed oh man, I really needed Solemn Strike or anything. Definitely not. So it was the right choice to cut it. So just 3 Solemn Judgment, the only Solemn we're playing. This was honestly another clutch card that I added very last minute, literally before like an hour before the tournament started when I was still like looking over my deck. Ice Dragon Prisons, so good against Despia, absolutely good against Despia. Target the one monster in the graveyard, special summon it, and then you can banish. That honestly stops them quite a lot. And it was just really good against other decks. Really, really good card. I don't know how I feel about it at 3. I'm just going to keep testing 2 at the moment. We are playing a lot of 2-ofs in this build, but I got the feeling that they were the correct ratio because I was seeing them, and obviously we're playing 8 pots, so you can't go wrong with that. We're playing 2 Dogmatic Punishment. Such OP card. You obviously got the Elder in extra deck, so you can pop off 2 cards. 2 Summon Limit, another really, really good card. Basically won me the match against FLIIIIIIIIIIP. And I mean, come on, we're not summoning more than twice, are we? So it literally does not affect us. I was playing 3 when I was testing online before I went to locals, but I would always freaking draw 2 of them in my opening hand, or I draw it for turn when I already had it on board. So I was like, the 3rd copy is cursed, so I'm just gonna play 2. So 2, correct ratio. Another card, Anti-Spell Fragrance, really good card to stop that backward removal, to stop all the fusion spells, if you can pop it off before your opponent starts triggering stuff. So really, really good card. This usually gets played at 3, but I feel like with the amount of traps we have, we really want to see monsters and stuff. It can be quite bricky playing 3 copies of like mostly everything. It's just the Imperm that's like the one we absolutely need, the Solemn Judgment, to help stop something risky. And as I said, we are playing a lot of 2-of, so this is another one. So 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. 2 Banish stuff. The 1 Macrocosmos, absolutely clutch against Shaddoll monsters. It was really good against, what was it, Despia. It was just an insane card. To add to that, Different Dimension Ground. Another card that was just really, really good. Obviously, your opponent then can pop off effects in the graveyard. Obviously, if Macrocosmos was at 2, was at 3, I'd definitely play it. Different Dimension Ground was another one I added last minute. I cut Mystic Mine from the main deck. I was maining Mystic Mine, but I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, so I added the 2 Different Dimension Ground, which just adds to the Macrocosmos, to be fair. And it can be very impactful against some decks. But that is it for the main deck. 46 cards. We will now move on to the extra deck. So extra deck doesn't matter. We do have some super poly targets. We've got Elder for Dogmatic Punishment, but mainly we have got cards for our Pot of Extravagance. So I'll start off with super poly targets. The 2 Mud Dragon, 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. The World Chalice Guard Dragon Armaduke. 3 Link monsters. We basically have a target for everything. The Predaplant, the 1 fusion and 1 dark monster. The other Predaplant with another weird name, which is 3 dark monsters. Our main super poly target is the 3 Starving Venom. We are playing 3 copies because of Pot of Extravagance, so that is the one we kind of don't want to banish. So 3, 6, 7, 8 super poly targets. Now for our Dogmatica Punishment target is the 3 Elder. We are playing 3 because, again, Pot of Extravagance. Basically, you want to send Elder with Dogmatic Punishment to beat over, obviously, if it's under 25. And then Elder hits Grave, has to hit Grave, and then you pop off another card. So 3 Elder. We are side decking Waking the Dragon, so we are just playing 2 Waking the Dragon targets, which is the 1 Red Eye Stark Dragoon and the Last Warrior from Another Planet. None of these ever came up because, as I said, no one was freaking playing backward removal, so I was freaking hoping someone would pop it, but no one popped it, and by the time they popped it, I'd already banished my planet Last Warrior from Another Planet with Pot of Extravagance. I was like, I kind of wanted to just summon that for memes, but it is what it is. And the last two cards for our Eater of Millions are the one Relinquished Anima and the one Link Karibo. I mean, if you want to, I think I did actually trigger Anima one time, linked into him, and it was pointing to something, so you can then take it. And then it just triggers effects, because they don't want their monster to be sucked up by Anima. And then Link Karibo is just a protection from an attack. But yeah, that's it for the extra deck. Moving on to main deck. So I always have trouble side decking, but as I always say, side according to your local, side according to if you're going to a competitive event, to what you think is going to be the most seen deck. So definitely side in to comfort. But yeah, I mean, this was just generic stuff, to be fair. As I said, the 2 Mystic Mine, I was main decking this. But I decided to side deck it because we don't summon a lot. So if we basically just draw back row, it's kind of useless activating Mystic Mine. But honestly, won me a matchup against a game, I would say, against Fluunder. They couldn't out it for some reason. And they had like a full board of like 3-4 monsters. So the 2 Mystic Mine, OP card this format, the 3 Raigeki. I always say it, a lot of decks, a lot of monsters nowadays end on monster negates, not on spell or trap negates. Raigeki, again, is not once per turn, so really OP card this format. For backward removal, we're playing the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and the 2 Twin Twisters. There was also the option of Cosmic Cyclone, but Cosmic Cyclone, I kind of get scared of it because we are playing Solemn Judgment, because I thought I would trigger my Solemn Judgments a lot. So I was like, I kind of don't want to lose as many life points, especially if we've just got back row and our opponents are swinging slowly. It can be quite risky. But Twin Twisters, I honestly, there's not a lot of back row decks, or there wasn't. I've not come up against a lot of them. Obviously, Eldritch is still there. Freaking, what's his name? Scythe is still in the format. But I mean, if we pop the Scythe, we don't special summon from extra deck unless we're super pulling or waking the dragon or whatever. But Twin Twisters, if we just have that extra hand, a card in hand, we can just discard it and it pops too. So I kind of found it more useful than Cosmic Cyclone. And the Harpy's Feather Duster is Harpy's Feather Duster. Waking the Dragon, if they pop it, special summon a monster from extra deck or your deck. Really good card. A lot of people forget you can special summon from deck as well. So Waking the Dragon, just 2, not 3/3, is definitely a brick. We're playing the 2 Tikaboo. Really good card against Fluunder as well. Won me the match. There is a lot of cards decks that can play around this format. So just 2 copies. I don't want to play the 3rd because it's like summon limit. If we've already got one on field, we don't really want to draw it. So just 2 copies of a Tikaboo. And the last 3 cards we are siding is the card of the format, Dimensional Barrier. This has won so many people, so many duels against Despia, against other fusion decks. I did think of main decking this, but it can be, I mean, Despia will dominate the format, or is dominating the format, whatever you want to call it. I didn't know what people at my locals were going to play, because it always varies. Like, they'll either play something really, really, really competitive, or something like just really like janky. So I was like, I'll just side deck it, play it on the safe side, and then just main deck something more impactful like Anti-Spell, Fragrance, Summon Limit, and stuff like that. But I mean, if I was going to a competitive event, I would definitely main deck this. To stop the synchros, to stop the fusions. But I mean, I believe I sided it in, obviously, against Despia. I did side this in weirdly against Virtual World, but it didn't really do anything. But yeah, I mean, main deck it if you're going to a competitive event. If not, I mean, in my choice, I prefer to side deck it. In other builds, I will main deck it. As I said, this is just the build I wanted to share with you that I've played, that I've tested a lot. That is very, very good. Trust me, you're going to like it. But I am definitely going to switch this entire deck around because I want to test out a whole new engine, which you might already have the idea which one it is, but we'll see how that goes. I am also picking up another deck very, very soon. Well, I've already picked it up, so I'm going to start building it. I'm going to start testing it. It is sort of in like the stun control style, so definitely stay tuned for that because it is going to get spicy. But that is it for the deck profile, guys. As always, make sure you like and subscribe, and thank you very, very, very much for watching. Leave a comment, leave a like. Most importantly, subscribe, and thank you very much for all the support. I hope you enjoy this deck. I hope you stress some people out, stunning and floodgating all their plays. For now, that is all, guys. Thank you. Kybalord out.